Greetings, friendos, and welcome back to the Oxlayer for yet another Oxleymations presentation. For today's video, if it wasn't evidenced by the title below Big Frank and Old Jack over there, we're taking a look at another offering from McDonald's. Yes, as I alluded to in my video on the history of the McDonald's pails over the last 30 plus 40, almost 40 years, now that I think about it, McDonald's has been putting out a series of Halloween buckets, or pails as they like to call them. And usually in the past we've gotten 3, if we've gotten them at all. Sometimes it's been down to 2 different buckets, but this year, we got spoiled this year. We have 4 Halloween buckets this year. Now last year, as you may be well aware, considering that video there and the fact that it was just last year, we had 3. We had, what were they? These were throwbacks to the buckets of the early 1990s. They were the witch, they were the ghost, and they were the jack-o'-lantern. This year, we don't have any of those characters. We have 3 of those colors, but we don't have those characters. We also have a new color. Well, new for this year. It's a color they've used in the past, but I believe they only did that once. You know, looking over my collection over there, they only did this particular color of bucket once previously. So without further delay, let's get right into this, shall we? Released on October 17th of this year of 2023, which was just yesterday as of the filming and uploading of this video, McDonald's released, as stated previously, 4 pails. 1 in orange, 1 in purple, 1 in white, and 1 in green. Those pails are before me, just out of range of the camera, which you are all viewing me through. Those particular buckets, we'll go with that, are the skeleton. Each one of these pails has 3 faces on them. As you can see, the first one that I've decided to show you all is the skeleton pail, and they did actually feel like putting the word pail on there, just under the word skeleton. And like the pails from last year, each of these, in addition to having 3 faces printed on them, come with a cardboard activity thingy that you can do. For this year, they decided to have it as a mix and mash monster. So you can take all these face pieces from this side and add them to this blank skull on this side. At least that's how it is with this very first one. I'm pretty sure all the rest are going to be the same, but we won't know until we get there, now will we? Ooh, this one got a little bit messed up, but it's okay, I can flatten it out. Just put it between a couple of heavy books or something, make it right again. But there we have the skeleton. And one thing that I've noticed after looking over these buckets, these pails, is that they used the same handles as last year. We have the pumpkin lid shaped handle for 3 of them, and we have the witch's hat for the 4th one. So that's been the skeleton. And mind you, to get these, before I continue on showing you the rest of the buckets, it was a bit of a hassle last night. I wound up having to call around to a bunch of different McDonald's, and if you did not know, yes, you can actually call your local McDonald's stores and ask them about things, or potentially even, I guess, make your order over the phone. I've never tried making an order over the phone, but I did ask them which buckets each particular store had. And I only had to go to 3 different locations to get all of these. And interestingly, the first bucket I showed you was the first one that I got yesterday. I got off of work, and I was like, the buckets got released today, I'm going on a scavenger hunt. And I started driving. As soon as I got to the first one, I was like, can I get the Happy Meal, please? And this one was a 6-piece McNugget with, I want to say, this one had the apple slices and fries. The second one I picked up came from the same location, because from what I was told, they were just about to sell out of that. No, wait. I'm getting myself confused. Okay. Sorry, it was a fun night, but it was a bit of a hectic night. Okay, the second one I went to a different location because I called them up and they said they had the purple bucket. And the purple bucket is the vampire, as it says right there on the side of the container. And as with the other ones, we have 3 different faces for the old vamp. And as I was saying before, this one is the one that gets the witch hat. Although I don't know why Dracula is wearing a witch's hat. I don't know. Everyone needs an understudy, and I guess Witch Hazel decided to go with Dracula. Yes. Ooh, okay, they are different. Okay, so for the Dracula, for the vampire, it's the same concept, the mix and mash monster head, but this time it's a vampire head. And he has different accessories you can put on his face. So, as stated, this was the second bucket I picked up, because, as stated, the particular restaurant I went to said that this was, what was currently available. Now, for the third bucket I picked up, as I was alluding to with the first bucket, I accidentally wound up calling back to the same location that I went to the first time. And they were like, yeah, we currently have the skeleton pails, the orange ones, but we've only got about 6 left, so we'll definitely be selling out of those within the hour. And they told me that the next one they had coming up next was going to be the Mummy. So I was like, okay, thank you very much. Do you know when you'll be well, I didn't think to say this, but I should have asked when they were going to have the green one. But regardless, as I was talking to the woman, she seemed very polite about it. I wound up calling there accidentally 3 times. She seemed very much, I don't want to say she was getting annoyed, but she was trying her very best to be optimistic and, peppy about the whole conversation, to keep me invested in coming to her restaurant and paying more of my hard-earned dollars. So I stated, I got the skeleton first. Then I went and got the vampire, because that was the bucket they had, called back to the first one on accident, and they told me that the mummy was going to be the one that they had next. So I came back home at that point and just kind of waited around until, I want to say, 7:40-ish. It was a fairly late night for yours, Ghoulie. And I went back to the store. This time I went inside. For those other 2 buckets, I went through the drive-thru. Oh, and I forgot to mention, inside the vampire here was another 6-piece nuggets, because I wanted to go for the whole 12-piece nuggets, the theme of having 12 pieces instead of just a 10-piece or a 20-piece, and this one was double fries. Not that that really matters. Oh, and again, not that it matters. For this one, I got a chocolate milkshake to go with that as the beverage. This one, I got one of their chocolate milk jug thingies. And for this one had the kids' meal of the cheeseburger. This one had the apple slices, again. And this one, I believe I got a small Sprite to drink with it. But anywho, carrying on with the theme of the other buckets, I'm getting ahead of myself. I didn't show you the faces on this pail. So we start with the lovey-dovey mummy. And then we've got Starstruck Mummy. And then we've got Struck in the Head. Because, look at those eyes. He's like, whoa. He's loopy for some reason. And this one also has the pumpkin bucket lid in the handle. So now getting over to this thing. As with the other 2, we're carrying on with the mix and mash monster face thing. There we have the cute mummy. And then on this side, we have more of those stickers, so you can make him have an odd expression. And now, lastly, for the 4th bucket that I picked up last night, I ate a lot of food yesterday. Just gonna throw that out there. I had a 12-piece nuggets. I had 2 burgers. This one was just a plain burger, no cheese, and this one was the extra fries instead of apple slices. But for this one, this is the Monster Pail, and I forgot to show off that with the Mummy Pail, just like the skeleton and the vampire before it, it clearly states on the side of the bucket that it is in fact the Mummy Pail. So back to the monster. As it says right there, the Monster Pail. It's got the pumpkin bucket top with the handle. And of course, keeping with the others, 3 faces printed on that particular bucket. Oh, and a little PSA for those who are looking for the buckets from last year, from 2022. When storing these things, do not put packing tape or stickers on the decals on those buckets. And I'll show you why. Should be right over here behind me. Yes. Because I had the unfortunate... Let's get that candy wrapper out of there. I had the displeasure of finding out just how fragile the decals on these can be. I picked up a stack of these from the Goodwill. I meant to do a video on this, but apparently I just haven't uploaded it yet. But they had a stack of 9 of these, 4 of these witches, 5 of the ghosts from last year, and to keep the whole stack together, they put a couple strips of packing tape. And unfortunately, even though I was being very delicate while I was peeling the tape off, it took off some of the decal. As you can see, she's got a chunk missing out of her hair right there. She's got a chunk missing out of her eyeball on this one. And of course, one thing that I found kind of funny was this one took off some of the copyright logo as well. So be forewarned, if you happen to pick these up at a thrift shop and there's tape or stickers on there, these things are very easily damaged in that regard. So, that's your PSA for today. Now back to this year's buckets. So, as I was saying, we've got the monster, it's got the 3 faces, and he comes with an activity card as well. And as I just showed, he has the Frankenstein head, which honestly looks like, it almost looks like Franken-celery from VeggieTales, if he was very, very short. And then on this side we've got all the funny faces you could put on him. So, another thing that I can do now, since I've shown these off, oh, and the pumpkin pail lid handle, is we're going to do a little bit of a comparison time. Because I've seen so many people complaining that these buckets, like last year's buckets, are so much smaller than the ones they had back when I was a kid. And since I happen to have some of those old buckets, my sincerest apologies to my viewers, but just seeing all those comments of, just back to back, the buckets are smaller, they don't have the lids, the buckets are smaller, the ones back in the day were so much better, these ones suck, they're so much smaller, where's the lids, so much smaller. It's like, change the record, dag nab. So anyway, we've got a little monster bucket here. Let's compare him to the witch bucket, which I'm just going to stick with the one I just showed off. Let's see. They're roughly the same size. Although, no, they are the same size. I was going to say the witch here looks like she's slightly taller, but that might just be because of the handle. Now, pardon me, folks, while I step out of frame and go retrieve one of my vintage buckets. And now, let's dare to compare the, which one are you, 1986? Yes, the 1986, I believe, or 1989. If you want to know the exact year, go back and look at my video. Let's compare these two. I would say that the new one's actually slightly taller, but the previous years, these antiquarian ones, looks like they're just a bit wider. So potentially it's the same dimensions, just shifted ever so slightly. So for all those like, they're so much smaller. No, they're not. They are not smaller. The dimensions are slightly different, I'll grant you that. But these things are not that much smaller. On that note, I think I'll go ahead and wrap this up here before I go offending any more of my viewers who are sticklers for, it's not like how it was when I was a kid. Why did they have to change it? Where are the lids? Like, where are the lids, dude? I get it. I get it. The nostalgia, you want it to be exactly like it was when you were a kid, but not everything is going to be exactly the same. Partly because companies are trying to save money in the year 2023. The economy is in the toilet. We should just be thankful we friggin' got buckets again after all these years. And the fact that Burger King, of all companies, decided to release their own bucket this year. Granted, much to my chagrin, it's only in certain locations, it's a regional thing, but they've done it. And I've been very tempted to get one off of eBay, which is the only place I can find them on the second-hand market, but I'm not paying $30 for a bucket. Granted, with some of these, I did that very same thing, but that's not the point. The point that I can get 4 of these for less, well, for right around $20, depending on what I get to drink with it. Anyway, I'm going to stop that rambling right there. I'm going to put these buckets down, and I'm going to wrap this thing up by saying thank you all so very much for tuning in and watching my content. I do truly and greatly appreciate it, and I do truly and greatly apologize to anyone I offended with my comments just now. But like I said, we should just be thankful we got the buckets again after all these years. Stop complaining about the fact that they don't have lids, or the fact that they're smaller. Now, with that said, it really does feel so good to my poor little cold black heart that you come back and watch my content again. It really does mean a lot. On that note, I shall leave you all by saying, viewers beware, and subscribe if you dare.